Hey everybody, and welcome to the Get Speaking English Coffee and Crossword stream. My name is Axel, and while we wait for the stream to begin, let me quickly explain how this activity works and give you some information that will help you do it. So, during the stream, we will go through a crossword similar to the one you see on the screen right now. I'm going to guide the conversation by letting you know which question will work on when. I'm going to explain the question to you, maybe give you some definitions, and then I'm going to give you additional clues, other information, hints, maybe some images to help you figure out the answer with me. So, when you think you know an answer, go ahead and put it in the chat. You'll be able to participate on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch. The addresses are all available on the screen. So don't be shy if you think you know an answer. Put it in the chat, and when I see a correct answer, I will add it on the board and we will fill out the crossword together that way. So before we begin though, there are a few important rules that you should know specifically about this stream so we could all have a good time. So my first major rule is no cheating. So don't use the internet unless I tell you to. So we could Google the answers if we want or use websites. We're not going to do that though. We're going to work together instead. So please do not use the internet unless I tell you to do so. Secondly, please follow the conversation. So for example, if we are talking about question number 3, don't start talking about question 19. Also, too, please be patient. We may take some detours along the way. I love to talk about additional vocabulary, phrases, other things that are related to what's in the crossword. So just please be patient. Try to stay with the group and don't ruin it for others. Finally, please be nice to one another. Like I said, you'll be able to participate on Facebook, Twitch, YouTube, but let's create a nice, friendly learning environment where people feel like they can participate without judgment and have a good time. So those are my main rules for playing this game. Now I'm going to give you some additional information specifically about this crossword to help you complete it. So the first useful thing to know is that this is an American crossword. So that means that American spelling and vocabulary is going to be used. So you can see on the screen right now some differences between American and British spelling. There are many others. This is just a small sample of some of the differences. There are also differences in the choice of vocabulary, in some of the phrases, some of the slang is different. So usually this crossword uses American English. It's also worth knowing that any of the trivia is usually about the United States, so about American history, American geography. However, we won't need to know much trivia. Thankfully, the majority of the questions in this crossword are about language, they're about English, so we won't need to know a lot about trivia. It's also really helpful to know that the answers match the questions. So the answers will always use the same type of word and the same word form as the word in the question. So for example, if there is a plural in the question, there will be a plural in the answer. If there's an abbreviation in the question, there will be an abbreviation in the answer. So all of that is extremely helpful. Sometimes you will see me put little S's or EDs in places, and that's just good information for us to know to fill out the board faster. Keep that in mind too when you are answering, that your answer should always use the same type of word and the same word form as the question. Also, multiple word answers are okay in this crossword. So sometimes the answer could be a phrasal verb, maybe part of a common phrase or an idiom, part of a sentence. Some of the longer ones are titles of books, titles of movies. This crossword does not indicate when something is a multiple word answer. However, I am usually quick to spot them. I will let you know if something is a multiple word answer, but do keep in mind when you are thinking about the answers to the questions that multiple word answers are possible. Finally, too, because we are here to review English, we're here to learn new words and vocabulary as well. It's important to know that there are words in this crossword that we can't really use in real life. So some of the words are just archaic, they're outdated, they're old-fashioned. Some of them are very formal or used only in very specific contexts. I will try to let you know if you can't use something, and I'll try to give you an alternative expression instead. I'll also let you know when you could use something in a specific context, but do keep that in mind that there are words in this crossword that even I, as a native English speaker, would never use in real life during a conversation. Anyway, so that's it. Like I said, test, test, test. There we go. My audio hasn't been working lately, kind of. Hello, everybody. Hey, welcome. Ugh. Hey, everybody. Hey, welcome. My name is Axel, if you don't already know. And we're gonna do a crossword. We actually are gonna do a crossword. I know there isn't a crossword on the screen right now. I'm doing like a lot of things. We're gonna do a crossword though. Oh, do I even have it open? Gosh, I guess I don't know what happened to it. Anyways, just like the little crossword, just like the little video said, we're gonna do a crossword together right after this brief advertisement, which I usually do. I don't know what happened. Anyways, yeah, we're gonna be doing a crossword together. Just like the little video said, I'm gonna direct the conversation. I'm gonna let you know which question we're gonna work on when. I'm gonna give you lots of additional like hints, clues, information, things like that to help you figure out the answer along with me. If you think you know what an answer is as we go through, put in the chat. When I see an answer, then I will put it on the screen right after this ad. Right after this ad, and we will do it from there. So yeah. So this is the crossword we're going to do. Also, I don't have a lot of time today, unfortunately. I have to go in an hour and a half, like, before. So we have to get through this rapidly, as quick as possible. But I did want to make a little announcement just like really quickly before we begin. Because I do lots of conversational classes with students, usually like one-on-one classes, all happening in Zoom, 50 minutes. And I talk about a lot of articles with people, and some of these articles I use as the basis for developing like full lessons with lots of activities, speaking activities and things that I can do with students, little quizzes and stuff like that. But then I also just sometimes just talk about other articles with people in less structured lessons. Anyways, this one was an interesting article. I thought. So I wanted to put it out to the general, to the rest of the world. It is, I guess you can kind of see it here. ChatGPT is pushing people towards mania, psychosis, and death. So mania, sort of a psychological issue, same with psychosis and death. And OpenAI doesn't know how to stop it. So kind of an interesting article. Some interesting things to talk about. If you are interested in talking about that with me, I'll offer it as at a discount because usually I do $20 conversational classes, but for $15, if I can get the right info. Gosh, today is not my day at all. There we go. I'll do it for $15. I hope I get through this. Jeez. Just send me an email at getspeakingenglish@gmail.com, or actually even better is to message me on Telegram. That is the best place to get a hold of me. And just mention therapy and ChatGPT in your message when you write me. I get so much spam. So be sure to actually write me. Write something more than just like, hi. If you only write hi, I will not respond to your message. So say that you're interested in talking about the therapy and ChatGPT article, something like that, and I will know that you're serious. And I will respond to your message. And yeah, we can get talking about this article. I've also linked this article over on the Telegram groups, so you can find it there if you want to read it beforehand. But it's a little bit interesting. There's some interesting things to discuss in here, and I love discussing about interesting things with my students. So yeah, so feel free to do that. Okay, enough talking then. Like I said, we're going to be doing this crossword today. Hello, Phil. Hello, welcome to the stream. Yeah, let's get right to it. Like I said, I have to go in an hour and a half, so we have to get working. Also, you'll have to forgive me too. I changed my stuff around a little bit, so I wanted to try a new layout, a new setup on my computer. So anyways, so everything is kind of right. But anyways, I do have the comments open though, so the best place to play is on YouTube. But you can also watch over on Facebook and on Twitch as well. But if you want to play, I highly recommend playing on YouTube because it seems to be the fastest. It seems to be the place where I get the messages the fastest. So there's also tends to be more players over on YouTube. Okay, let's get right to it then. I think we're good to go. So, let's do this one first. I guess a synonym. What a cross! Just a synonym for swift. And what a swift means. It means to go speed, right? I'm just gonna fix this. There we go, so you can see it. I think. There you go. Alright. A synonym. So what a cross. A synonym for fast. So a synonym. No, wait, did I just give away the answer? Swift. Oh my god. Swift. If you go at a swift speed, you go very, very quickly. So some animals are notorious, famous for being very swift, like hares, for example. That's a type of rabbit, basically. As opposed to, like, horses, they run very quickly. They are very swift as well. Anyways, so a four-letter word for swift. So if you think you know what it is, put it in the chat. Oh, there we go. That's better. Okay, put it in the chat while I fix my thing. We're not talking about the singer. We're looking for an adjective. This is the type of word we're looking for letters to go really, really, really quickly. really rapidly, or something that is, I should use the same word for, rapid, quick, fast, exactly. And I know I had said it earlier. Anyways, I'm not awake yet. I'm frazzled, all these tech issues and things. Gosh, what a day. Okay, anyway. Let's do one down then. One down. A clock part. A clock part, so we know that the clock is something that we use to tell time with, right? A device used for telling time, right? And I think we're referring to the name that we give for like the front of the clock. Of the, you know, the front of the clock. Basically that where the handles and the numbers are, or I should say the hands, because we say that the clock has hands, not handles. Let's see if I can dig up a picture. If I'm not too confused about I'm not too confused about my computer right now. So basically the front of the clock, traditional clock, I should say. Oh, everything is weird today. What? So, yeah, there we go. Jeez. So I'm talking about the traditional, sort of a traditional clock here. The clock face, exactly. We look at the clock face. Refers to like that front of the clock, like I said here, like I said as well too. I think you see my pointer. These little things, these are the clock hands, right? This clock here in particular has Roman numerals on it, Roman numerals. And yeah, that front part of it is going to be the face. So let's put face in here. F-A-C-E. All right. And moving right along. How about this one? 13. 13 across. Quarter, etc. Or for example, I should say. Quarter, for example. So I know that quarter can refer to, you know, a quarter. Basically, you know, 25% of like 100, right? You know, like 1/4 of something. But here I think we're talking about money. Right? A quarter, you know, which is worth what, 25 cents. Is an example of a C something something something, something to do with money. We're looking for a money word here. I think it is a type of something. So it's not going to be a cent. A cent is just like, you know, like one, because there's like 100, there's 100 cents in a dollar, for example, right? So a cent is the equivalent of a penny, but it is an example of, you know, I actually have like some on my desk here. Because, you know, you can have like paper money, right? But you can also have, you know, like the little, we have like some, we have a $2 one in Canada, one worth $2. And this one has 10 cents here. I know you can't really see it. Anyways, example of there's an N in this word. I'm gonna put an N here. N in here. It's a type of coin. Exactly. So a type of coin, the little metal pieces of money you could exchange for goods, as opposed to a bill, right? A bill is refers to the paper money, right? those, you know, those larger denominations of money, maybe like $1. Actually, we don't have dollar bills here, but $5, $10, $20. Those are in bill form, and then we have coins for the little denominations of money, the little amounts of money. All right, moving right along. Moving right along. Let's do this one. A great weight. 4 down. A great weight. So an amount of weight here. For a moment, I thought it was funny how the answer was just there. Ha ha ha. Yeah, right. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. All right. A great weight. Sometimes I get confused like that too. But we're looking for like a large amount of weight. Very huge amount of weight. A ton, exactly. An interesting thing about this word as well too, because this is an American crossword, so T-O-N. But you might also see this word being spelled like T-O-N-N. I don't know why I'm doing that. T-O-N-N-E. So like the British spelling of ton. And also I know too there's sort of a difference between like an American ton and a ton. Anyways, whatever. But anyways, you might see 2 types of spelling for that one, which is interesting. But this is an American crossword, so we're doing American spelling. Great job. And what else do we have going on here? Let's do this one, maybe. Also a list shortening abbreviation. So an abbreviation is what? It's like short form for something, right? A common abbreviation we might say at the end of a list, right? So if you don't want to keep listing things, maybe you would give a couple examples of something, and then you would put this at the end, maybe. So for example, you know, I really love, I don't know, but etc. Exactly. E-T. C is how we're gonna spell that. And the pronunciation, I know it's a tricky one, etc. Perfect. Just give me a second here. Those things are weird. Okay. What else do we have going on here? Oh, I think there's a lot of breakfast. I looked at this briefly before I logged on. There's a lot of breakfast foods in here. Anyways. Let's do this choir voice thing. So a choir are a group of people. A choir, a group of people who, you know, sing together, right? And so when you have a group of people who are singing together, you'll have some people who maybe have very low voices, some people who have very high voices. They have different ranges. That's how we would explain that. They have different, their voices have different ranges. You know, some people can sing very low, some can sing very high. I think this one here, A something something O, I think this is a very high range of a singer. And we'll use this as well to not just for voices, but also maybe other musical instruments as well. So very high. I don't know this one. Okay, yeah, now we're gonna like little tricky stuff. High voice range. Sometimes also too, actually, we might see this word used to describe high places as well, because I think that there is sort of like Latin roots as well too, where this word comes from. So sometimes we might also, sometimes this word is almost like a suffix. That means very high. I'm trying to think of maybe an example of a suffix. Ooh, let me think. Oh, sorry, a prefix. My bad. Prefix. Ugh. Prefix. Let's see what I can come up with. Possibly. Anyways. Maybe not some super popular ones. But anyways, the word that we are looking for is alto. Alto. A-L-T-O. That means very high. Very high. Anything alto would be high. We use it mostly for voices. It would be music to refer to the range. So from which note to which note. So they have very high register, very high range. Alto. Uniform material. Don't know. Got news of. Not sure. Havers. Goo. Looks like we're moving on to a different quadrant. Let's do. Let's try this one. This 12 across. Soft leathers. So soft leather. So we know leather is a material made from animal skin, right? Animal skin, or what we would call animal hide, right? I think I spelled that right. Yeah, it's animal hide. That is, it's dried, it's cured, and then maybe goes through some processes, right? We can use it for clothing, right? But this one here, I think what our answer here, and we need wait. We need an S here. Do I have enough letters? 1, 2, 3, 4. This is kind of like, it's like a type of leather. A type of leather that is a little bit softer. And it almost is, I should say almost, but it almost has like a furry like texture to it. So this is a type of leather that has sort of like a soft texture to it. It's a little bit, I'm gonna call it furry. Like, cause there's some, it's not quite hair, but you know how leather almost is like this very super smooth, shiny, I want to say plasticky, but it's not plasticky, but it can be really hard, right? Whereas this stuff here, it's a little softer. You can see here, there's no shine to it. It is not shiny. It's very matte, we would say. It has a very matte finish. And this material is here's a close-up, another close-up, maybe a little bit better. It begins with an S. I'm gonna put an S here. I'm gonna put an S here to help you out because I know this might be a little bit tricky. Basically a type of leather here. Let's see what the official actually definition is. Leather that is slightly rough to the touch and not shiny. Yeah, I always think that it's kind of like really soft, but I guess it can be really, really rough as well too, right? Very common for pants to be, not pants, shoes to be made out of this sort of thing. Not shiny at all. There's also a D in this word. I'm gonna put a D here. And I should maybe say these are types of leather that have soft texture. Anyways. I feel like this would be really hard to clean. I could have a pair of these and I find them hard to clean. There's a D in here for this material. There's an S. And we have a plural here just because there's a plural in the question. Anyways, tricky. This stuff is known as suede. This is suede. So S-U-E-D-E. S-U-E-D-E, sort of like leather. Like they said, leather. That is not, you know, it's not shiny. It's rough to the touch, but I always feel like every time I have something made out of suede, it's very, very soft. But anyways. The pronunciation, because I know that that's a kind of a weird looking word. Just suede. S-U-E-D-E, suede. Okay, moving right along. Moving right along, what are we going to get? What are we going to do? Sassy. Let's see if we can. Something that's really easy. Cabinet wood. Type of wood. We're looking for a type of wood. Comes from a type of tree. I think that this is a very, so a cabinet, so just so we're clear, cabinets are basically these like, they're almost like wooden boxes with doors that you use to store things in, right? So I think a lot of people, you know, you might think of like the kitchen cabinets, for example. All right, so where you would store all the plates and things. I'm just grabbing a picture here. A kitchen with some cabinets here, right? Okay, so we can see this one here. We got all the cabinets, right? The wooden boxes with doors. And I think that we're looking for the name of a type of wood that you might use to make cabinets out of a very light color wood. Very, very, very light color of wood. Something. A very light colored wood you might use to build cabinets from. It's kind of tricky. And I don't know how, actually, I don't know how widespread this type of tree is. It comes from a tree. Comes from a tree. I'm gonna find out really quickly, maybe. They're definitely in America because this is an American crossword. Dun, 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 dun. Oh yeah, they're in Europe and stuff. Okay, so they're not, it's not just an American thing. Not just an American thing. So that is cool. There is another use of this word, but a completely different meaning. But this word is also maybe like is used to describe you know, like the sort of like the dust that is left over after you burn something. So the name of the dust that gets left over after burning something. so for sure, because I'm literally the other side of the globe. Yeah. Yeah, tricky. I want to share a picture, but I don't even know if a picture of this tree is going to help. Ash is the name of it. Yeah, exactly. This is an ash tree. But the wood is very, very light color. It is very also too, I think that the wood is very lightweight. So I guess that's a good building material. I don't build anything, so I don't really know. But here is the color of the wood. And ash. So ash, the name of the particles, the little dust particles, and ash also for the wood, this a light color of wood. Okay, I'm gonna put this in here. ASH. Let's see what else we can do here. French article. Yeah, an article so in English our articles are, this is 9 down by the way. In English our articles are the, and, right? And in French they obviously have a couple as well. I know that we're supposed to be like an English crossword, but sometimes I love to put foreign words and stuff in here as well. So, something, an article in French. So something, you can think of some French words maybe. This one, I could say there are some like very famous like French, plays and movies and stuff like that. There was a musical, very famous, and we see this word. And I feel like I'm gonna like say this. I feel like I'm gonna like say this and I'm gonna like butcher it. Les Miserables. Oh, terrible. My French is terrible. Les, exactly. Oh yes. You think cause everybody thinks that Canadians are all bilingual. It's a lie. Les. I guess I should work on that. Anyways, les, exactly. It would be nice to have like sort of a easier one actually, because I feel like it's like I know what these are, but like let's do this one. This baked breakfast item. 6 down. Baked breakfast item. Something. You'll find these at cafes. At cafes and coffee shops, for sure. They're almost like little cakes, but they're not quite cakes. 2 little mini cakes that you bake in a specific type of tin. So a baking tin that is like the metal device that you would put it in. I'm gonna get a picture of this type of food. What this is. I think we are looking for the name of one of these guys. One of these guys that is kind of it's a very classic like American breakfast item. I know these are not everywhere in the world, but something like these. Muffin, exactly. Muffin. Muffi. And are muffins popular where you are from? I know that they are not popular everywhere. Muffin. Muffins. I like these muffins. I think these are pretty good. I think these look like they're cornmeal or something. I'm okay with that kind of muffin. Anyways, muffins. Yeah, let me know if muffins are something you would eat there. There's a lot of, I think, breakfast food on here that I wouldn't necessarily eat. What else do we have here? Pavers, I don't even know. I do see them in bakeries. Okay, nice. Nice. Gosh, what are we gonna do? Pavers goo. Let's do this. Goo. Goo is it's a word that means a very sticky substance. Goo, very word that means a very sticky substance. So something that's sticky, it's almost like glue, right? Like glue almost. And a paver is someone who paves roads, okay? So where they they put that black stuff. We're looking for the name of the black stuff, basically. This is the name of the black stuff. The black stuff they use to pave roads with, right? So, and not the rocky part, but the stuff that they use basically to glue it all down together. Let's see if I can get a picture of it. It's sort of and it's like an oil, like a petroleum product. Let's see if I can get a picture. Tar, exactly. This stuff is tar. We're gonna use tar because it's goo. T-A-R. Awesome. Let's put that right on in here. How about this one? 17 to cross. I think it's becoming a little bit more obvious now. We have a couple letters in here. Uniform material. I think this is a material maybe. Well, a uniform is like an outfit that you might wear for work or something, right? A special outfit you might wear for work or, you know, school sometimes. I think though that this is like, I want to say a material that you might make maybe like a military outfit out of. I don't know 100%. So it's like a tan color material you might make a uniform out of. A tan color. What is tan? Tan is kind of like almost like a light brown. And it might be it'd probably be like a pretty, yeah, you would use it for, I guess, like a military uniform. That's what they're talking about here. Uniform out of it. This is a military uniform. That's what they're talking about here. I'm gonna get a picture of this, I think. Maybe. I guess police too. Khaki, exactly. Yes, I think it is khaki as well. I find it interesting that it's like a uniform, but I guess they would make khaki. I guess I don't know a lot about like the military or police or anything, but khaki, exactly. We might make uniforms out of. I don't know if that's just like an American thing. I have no idea. Anyways, moving right along. Gosh, I don't know what this is. I don't know if we're gonna get this one. I feel like this is gonna be tricky, I think, up here. I wonder if we shouldn't just like do something easier. Get news of. Yeah, let's do this one. Get news of. I don't think we're gonna have time to finish this anyways. So let's ignore the hard bit. To get news of something. If you get news of something, it means you Ooh, you find out about something. Hard to describe without actually giving away the answer, but you might, whatever this is, about it from your people usually, or maybe on the news, or oops, get news. That is spelling. Get news of something. My bad. You find out about something, or you discover it, right? You hear about it. Exactly. So to get news of something, like have you gotten news about the new, I don't know, something downtown? Did you hear about the new thing downtown? So that's kind of a great little idiom, I would think, to get news of something. Very informal. That's a good one. It means to hear about something. And what else? Tripod, trio. Let's talk about cake. Let's do the cake one first, maybe. Cake unit. 22 across, a cake unit. So we're talking about like a unit of something, like one part of something. And these days, especially I like see these, you know, on, I guess they're popular on like Instagram, and fancy cakes might have multiple, whatever these are, something, ER. And I'm gonna put an S in here, even though there's no S here. But they'll kind of almost have like multiple parts stacked on top of one another. Multiple parts stacked on top of one another. Multiple layers, exactly. So a layer is going to be our cake unit, also known as a tier. A little fancier word there as well too. A tier. But a lot of people just say layers. Layer. Tiered cake. I get a picture of a multi-tiered cake, like wedding cakes. Not a fan of my new setup. But here we go. We can see the word tier used because I keep talking about it. But this picture here, how to make tiered cakes, how to make layered cakes. So a tier, just another way to say layer there. Alrighty. A tripod trio. Tripods typically have 3 of these. That's our trio. A tripod is usually a little device used to, let's say, hold something up. So you maybe like a camera, for example, maybe a light, for example, an easel. All of these have 3 something. 3 something that makes them a tripod. Gonna get a picture. Here's an example of a tripod for a camera. We can see here, tripod for a camera. Maybe this isn't the best one, but we can see that there are like 3 little things that are used, and it kind of balances on it. 3 legs, exactly, legs. So a tripod is going to have 3 legs. Da, da, da. 3 legs. All right. I think we can do this one. We'll do the easy one before we do the hard one. And then there's like the one that I don't, like a trivia. But the nearest star. The nearest star to Earth, I think. Looking for the name of the nearest star, the closest star. 30 would have crossed. Something. We see it during the daytime, right? The nearest star. The star we see during the daytime. The sun, exactly. The sun is technically a star. And it is the closest one to Earth. It is the center of our solar system. That is what we call our, all the planets that circle around the sun. That is a solar system. And now for the tricky one. This is probably gonna be a new word. But fun little word to know, I suppose. Pumpkin's kin. So something that is a kin. So something that is a kin to something else is related to that thing. So almost like brother or sister, but here we're just talking about plants. Plants are related to one another. So a type of pumpkin. Oh, you got it. Nice. A gourd. Yeah, I'm gonna share a gourd. Because I feel like a lot of people, like if people are watching, anybody who's watching, they might not know what a gourd is. But a gourd are these little, I mean, here you find them around Halloween, like the little decorative gourds. So here's some decorative ones, but yeah, they're almost like, a lot of pictures, they look like they're squashes, but yeah, you typically like try them out and stuff. I don't know if people eat them. I guess you can eat some types of gourds. Anyways, that is a gourd. C-O-U-R-D. Some of them even, oh, see, this one looks even like a little pumpkin. Anyways, they're so cute. And let's do this one really quickly, since we have most of it figured out. Another breakfast, another baked breakfast item. I think we could probably take a guess as to what this is. S-T-I-C-K-Y, a sticky something U-N. They're typically bottles shaped in my area, but they are green and long. Yeah. Do you eat them there? Do you eat them? Here, you don't eat gourds, but I know that in other places, you might eat gourds. Yeah, here we only use them. They usually dry them and we just use them for decoration. I don't think I've ever eaten a gourd over here in my life. But yeah, I know in other countries they do. But, a lot of varieties of gourds. A sticky bun. Yes, a sticky bun, I think is what our thing is going to be. Sticky bun. Get sticky with honey. I have no idea what this is. This exile item. Island. Very common in cooking. Used to be my favorite food as a kid. Interesting. That's very cool. Very cool. Oh man. I'd love to know how you prepare them. Especially in your favorite dish. That'd be great. I don't know what this exile isle is. An isle is an island. An isle is an island. Actually, I have an idea what this might be in the Spaceballs voices. I don't know. I think this is an L. My guess would be this would be like an L, probably. But yeah, let me know if you agree with me. I'll put an L in there. One of the Titans. Full shirt. Full ring cry. My mom would cook it with ribs as a soup. Okay, nice. Oh, that sounds really good, actually. It's very hearty. Super good. Let's do... All right, let's do this one. Bar bill. 38, yeah. No idea. Yeah, I think it's an L. Maybe. Actually, I feel like this probably needs to be all anyway, but it's an E. Sometimes there's this, I don't know. Anyways, sometimes there's little errors. Anyways, we're gonna do the one that I know isn't an error, which is this bar bill. I'm gonna move this slightly so you can see it. There we go. The bar bill. So if you go out to a bar is a place where you go to drink alcohol. And not a place to get coffee, by the way, because I know in some languages a bar is a place to get coffee. In English, it is a place to get an alcoholic beverage, place to get a drink. And when you are ordering, you may not necessarily pay every single time you order a drink. You may just tell them to add your drink to your whatever this is, and then you pay it at the end. So at the bar, while you are drinking, you may ask the bartender to start you a whatever this is, something, which you pay at the end of the night. The bar tab, exactly. So that's an easy one. Super easy one. Great. Some diner seating. You know what I think this one is? 44 crust. 44 crust. You know when they have like the cushiony chairs? And then maybe like a table in between. So a diner is sort of like a casual place, eating place, a casual restaurant. In the US, you know, where you maybe get you know, burgers and fries and that kind of food. But sometimes, yeah, this thing be something these are tables surrounded by almost like benches. And you know, you can't move the seats. I'm gonna get a picture of like what these things are. Da, da, da. Exactly. I think that this answer is booths. These guys, I know this isn't a diner in this picture, but this is a booth. The booths. O-T-H-S. Tables surrounded by like these benches. They're kind of cushiony. No, I guess not always. I always think they are. Some people think that say that these are more comfortable, you know. Moving right along. We're doing pretty good, I think. I think. Sense of self. It's like a psychology word almost. So in psychology, you know, this word refers to like your inner self. Something. Oh, in psychology, this word is used to refer to the self, you know, who we are, what we think of ourselves. Kind of interesting. I've seen one. This is one of your earliest ego. Yes, your opinion, your idea or opinion of yourself, especially your feeling of your own importance and ability, your ego. That's the official definition. Apparently, I really think about it comes up though a lot in psychology. I feel like so. Let's put ego in here. E-G-O. Yes, E-G-O, ego. Court sport. What sport? You have a good memory too. One of your earliest dreams. Sometimes I feel like a lot of the same words come up, like over and over and over again. Ego, definitely one of those ones that come up a lot. But a court sport, we're referring to, like, you know, where you play the sport, right? Adhere. T-E, something, 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 something. This sport has a court, and that is divided by a net, typically, and you have 2 players on either side. I guess sometimes you could have, like, 2 teams, but anyways. And you hit a ball back and forth with a racket. A racket is that word. Tennis. Tennis is played on a court. T-E-N-N. N-N-I-S. Tennis. It is. Exactly. Awesome. Awesome, awesome, awesome. I wonder if we'll know what this one is, actually. Baked breakfast items. So more pastry. This one is all about pastry. Gosh, I don't even know how to describe this one, but I can find a picture though. D something something. I something. H. This word is also a nationality. It is like a nationality. I'm trying to get a picture though of like what this looks like. It's kind of like a square pastry usually, I feel. And usually has some like fruit in it. Honestly, I'm not the biggest fan of what this is, but it kind of, yeah, I guess like this. Sort of like flat. They have like a fruit in the middle. Sometimes they have icing on them. I guess they have cheese in them as well. Gosh. Here's like a bunch of them, different types. But yeah, I would just say like this word is also a nationality. Of like a European country. It's like European. Yeah, a European nationality. So, there is. So this is probably gonna be a weird one, but there's an S in here. I'm gonna add this S. Add the S. Sure, like, oh, I just closed the wrong. Okay, there you go. Yeah, I think so. I'm not a big cheese person, so I'm not the hugest fan of these, but yeah, I think they're pretty good. I like the fruit aspect. And they're kind of like, kind of crunchy. Now you may be curious, like what exactly? This is also a language. And a language. Ooh. Yeah, I was thinking about that too. Sort of like a northern Germanic one. Okay, so the pastry is a multi-layered laminated sweet something I can't pronounce. It's a type of croissant though. It is neither bread nor a pastry, and it uses a yeast leavened dough. It's laminated like a puff pastry. When they talk about laminating, they put like butter and stuff between the layers of pastry, and then they roll it out, and it creates a sort of a texture, a layered, flaky texture. Anyways, these are Danishes. This is a Danish. Danish is the word we're looking for. Danish. Exactly. So, also the name of a language. Denmark. I got that right. Yes. Funny enough, we call them Danes. We don't call them Danish, like the people Danish is. We call them Danes, but then we could refer to things that are from Denmark as being Danish. Anyways. Interesting. 33 down. 33. Finals. For example, things that you might do at school. A final in school. School, I think, is what we're talking about. So basically an exam, right? For example, they say. So something that you would basically do at school, or things you would do at school. Things you do at school. I would say that check your knowledge. Let's say things you do at school that check your knowledge. So like writing a final, for example, or writing an exam. So I know a final usually is something that comes up maybe like the end of semester, the end of the term, end of the year. Whereas these things you might just do anytime during the year, maybe like at the end of the week or something. Just the teacher will do this just to test your knowledge of the material. Yeah. The little things that test your knowledge. Official definition, a way of discovering by questions or practical activities what somebody knows, or what someone or something can do, or what it is like. Anyways, most people dread these things that test your example or test your knowledge. Anyway, I think this one's going to be test. I'm just going to pop it in here. I have to go kind of soon, but we're doing really good. I usually don't have things after this, right after this on Wednesday, but I do today. What else are we going to do? Biased against seniors. You know, we might get this. Maybe, possibly. So if you are biased against something, it means you are, maybe you think like, sort of like you have like a negative opinion about that thing based on maybe like stereotypes or assumptions. I think that makes sense. And seniors are people who are old, right? So typically very old, right? So if you are biased against them, we might say this, that you are whatever this is. You would, if you treat them, you treat them unfairly because of their age. We have similar words as well too for people who maybe treat people unfairly because of their gender, for example, or maybe their, I don't know, like certain abilities or something. We have this sort of like this common suffix here, this ist thing, right? So like if you are sexist, for example, you maybe like discriminate against people because of their gender, for example, or here we're looking for something that maybe it means that you discriminate against somebody because of their age. And usually targeted at people who are sort of like maybe considered too old, right? But we could also use it, I suppose, the other way is around too, assuming that maybe certain people can't do stuff because they are too young, something like that. I suppose it goes both ways. Maybe. Possibly. Anyways, we could kind of take a guess, right? Because we're talking about people who are old, right? People who have been on this planet for quite a long time, right? Something to do with age. Ageist. You might be ageist if you have a bias against people because of their age, or if you judge them unfairly because of their age. Right. What else? Clinic worker. Clinic worker. 24. Somebody who might work at a clinic. What is a clinic? A medical clinic. So similar to like a hospital, right? But maybe maybe like a building with some medical equipment where maybe you could do like a bit of a checkup or something, but they don't have, you know, like the operating room and everything like that. Anyways, so a clinic, somebody who might work in a medical clinic or hospital, who helps, I'm gonna say who helps the doctors, I guess, and assists the patients. The patients are the people who are getting treatment. Starts with an N. Something. Something with an N here. As a person whose job it is to take care of people who are ill or injured, especially in a hospital. Welcome back. Welcome back. The shame you're here or not. It's hard for me to tell. I mean, but we're looking for somebody who works at a hospital, who typically maybe helps the doctors. They maybe assist they assist the patients as well too. They care for people. They care for people who are like injured. Something like that. There's an E in this word. I'll put this E here. A nurse here. Yeah, let's put it here, a nurse. It's gonna be a person who works at a hospital or a clinic. Or maybe you can go get some medical assistance without having to actually go to the whole hospital. Let's talk about corn. The core of something, that is like the middle of something, right? The middle of something, right? The center of something. And here we're talking about, you know, whole corn. There's sort of a clue as to what this is. When you get whole corn, like when you pick it off of the stalk, you say, a second here. You know, when you kind of like cook it, and you cook it and you kind of like serve it like this, where it's like you still have like the centerpiece here, right? This is what we would call corn on the something, whatever that middle piece is. Whatever it happens to be. Corn on the cob! Exactly. And cob refers to that super hard inner part that you can't eat. In the center of the corn. So let's put that there. You know, we talked about this one. This one's been coming up a lot lately in the crossword, actually. This arm bone. What are the bones in the forearm? What are the bones in the forearm? You... something. One... bones in the forearm. Yeah, we've been seeing this one kind of a lot lately. So it's like an anatomy word. And I'm struggling. Go. Yeah, what are the words? There is an A in this word. On the A here. I'm gonna get a picture. I gotta get a picture of like what it is. Because we have a couple different bones going on in the arm. Up here we have like the humerus. So the humerus, that is the bone in here between our shoulder and our elbow. We also have the radius. That is the other arm, because there are two arm bones here. We have the radius, and then we have the ulna. The ulna is the one that we are looking for here. So humerus. Here we have the radius and the ulna. O-U-L-N-A. So they love this one. We see this one a couple of months. The first time I came across this. Okay, yeah. Yeah, we've been seeing this one recently. It's been popping up in the crossword. So that's fine. Kind of like a useless trivia question. Anyways, that's what it is though. That is what it is. Gosh, what else we could do here? So I have about 10 minutes left. So let's see. Let's talk about another anatomy question, actually. Here we go. 34 across. 34 across. This is part of the pants. Sure, part of the pants. Part of the lower body. This is a part of our leg, basically, right? Pants part. And not only, this is also part of our leg. Sort of like a name for something. I think we were looking for the name of one of the joints. You know, one of the parts that bend. A joint is a part that bends, right? Like the elbow on the arm, that is a joint, or the wrist, also an example of the joint. And then on the lower half, right, a hip, you know, that's a joint. A knee is also an example of a joint. And I guess pants also have knees, which makes sense. K-N-E-E. All right. One of the titans. So I know we don't really do trivia, but if you happen to know what this one is, let me know. 32 across. What are the Titans? I think I'll know what this one is. AT something A something. The Titans. I believe this guy was a god too, right? I know I'm not like the best when it comes to trivia, but sorry, my thing keeps flashing. Actually, I'm just like noticing that. I think this was also. Oh, it's also the name of a moon. Oh, I knew that though. Anyways, no, that's not what I was like. Jeez, never mind. Anyways, yeah, but to know what this one is, and I lost. I'm a wreck. I'm a wreck today. Atlas. Yeah, it is Atlas. Oh yeah. All right, let's put that in here. Gosh. This is kind of a funny one. Noggin. So a noggin is a very informal word for head. A noggin. And some people might also call it a bean as well too, but that's really outdated. But that's what this one is. Another trivia one. Capital on a fjord. Fjord, that word is fjord. So like a silent J. The J kind of has a Y sound. I think we're looking for the capital. Capital city. I believe Norway. OS. Something, something. Looking for the capital city of Norway. Like a little geography thing. Sure what a fjord is. It is like, basically they're kind of like mountain ranges that are partially submerged underwater. So kind of like only the tops stick out. That makes sense. Here's kind of a picture of a fjord. That makes sense. So capital of Norway, though, I think it's gonna be Oslo. So let's put Oslo in here. All right. Let's do our last baked breakfast item. I think we can get this one. Or we can do this one. This is a vegetable. So this is a vegetable, if this like helps you figure out this one. But this other baked breakfast item. This is kind of, I feel like, a bit more of a classic one. Also made with like laminated pastry like we saw kind of last time. It's like a type of French pastry. This one. The type of French pastry. CR something something S something something something. Do I have enough? There you go. Type of French pastry. Let's say very common in bakeries. At least here, very common. Kind of one of these guys. They're very buttery and very flaky, right? Very buttery and flaky, typically. Okay, got that right. Well, I guess 19 is cross buns. Okay, yeah. See, I think that this is actually, sticky bun is actually like the hot cross. Yeah, we have like, you know, hot cross buns. I think that's actually what a sticky bun is. I can tell I don't eat a lot of pastry. But here, I think we're looking for this one. Or croissant. Yeah, it's French, exactly. Yeah, I think this is a croissant. Croissant, yeah. O-I-S-A-N-T. Yeah, I'm pretty sure this one's croissant. There we go. Awesome. And last but this list, garnish, whatever. We're looking for a vegetable, I think that fits in here. A root vegetable. Something. N-I-O-N. A root. It's not a root vegetable, but it's basically a bulb that grows in the ground that is commonly used in cooking. A bulb. The bulb is kind of like the root, basically. It grows underground. Used all sorts of cooking. An onion. Exactly. I got some onion. If you are in trouble, if we are in trouble, if we are sinking, if our ship is sinking, we might send out this classic, it's a distress signal. Classic distress signal. You'd send out if your boat was sinking, sinking. So to sink means if you're floating, you're on top of the water, and if you sink, you start to go under the water. Right? And there's sort of like this, you would send out an SOS. Yeah, exactly. So SOS, let's put that there. What else here? Phone message. RBIs and ERAs are statistics. They're stats. Let's what this one is. But a phone message, a type of message that you would get these days, 37 down. So not, you know, on old phones, right? But now with cell phones, a type of message you can get on a cell phone, right? Because you can receive phone calls, right? Little voice messages, but also just little bits of writing these days, basically. A text, exactly, T-E-X-T. And I think that's all the time I have today because I really have to run, which is a bummer. I think this is Enya. Anyways, thanks for coming out. Sassy, this is pert. If you're sassy, that means that you're kind of like being kind of a little like, I want to say a little snobby, a little snippy, a little quick short with someone. I think at Impala is gonna be our antelope. A fresh, maybe something. Anyways, I don't know what this is. Anyways, thank you for coming out. Really appreciate it. I'll be back tomorrow. I'm gonna do another crossword tomorrow as well too. I don't know what this last one is. Wilson's president. I don't know. Isaac. We're close. Anyways, I'll be back tomorrow for another crossword at the exact same time. Like I mentioned previously, yeah, I'm talking about this article with a couple of people. It seems really interesting. ChatGPT is pushing people towards mania, psychosis, and death. So if you are interested in talking about that with me, just send me either an email, getspeakingenglish@gmail.com, or send me a message on Telegram. That is the best way to get a hold of me, at Axel_of_getspeakingenglish on Telegram. And just mention that you want to talk about this article. Oh gosh, I really have to run. Okay. Thanks everybody. And I will see you tomorrow. All right. Thanks so much. Have a really great day. All right. Bye everybody.